Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I found myself on the shore of Anaba River, in the middle of Brazil and Amazon. And today, I'm about to cross this river, and I will visit one tiny community that lives on the other shore. So if you're curious to see how life in the middle of Amazon jungle really looks like, then please stay with me. And after that, I will hike into the rainforest to look for some wildlife. So things, they will get really interesting. One thing that you can notice while traveling to Brazil and Amazon is that the bigger the community, the shorter the name. And the opposite, the smaller the community, the longer the name. So welcome to Comunidade da
Nossa
Senhora da Conceição do Rio Amapá. So welcome to Comunidade da Nossa Senhora da Conceição do Rio Amapá. So this community has roughly 150 members, and yet there are 3 churches in here. So how come there are 3 churches in this community?
Oh, variety is the spice of life, yeah? There is a Catholic church for those inclined to Catholicism. We have an evangelic church, and there's also an Adventist church. So, yeah, variety is always good.
Okay. Choice. And which church has the most amount of followers? Which is the dominant one in this community, on this shore of Anaba River?
I would imagine the Catholic Church.
Catholics
because of the dominance, yeah, predominance, yeah.
So this community, they're not known as fishermen, they're not known as hunters. These people, they're primarily known for harvesting and making cassava and cassava products. And apparently most of the village went out for work. They're doing exactly what I was doing yesterday. So most of the inhabitants are not to be found, including some friends of Mr. Albert. So we're just walking around and trying to make some sense. So you have close connections with this community, yeah?
Pretty much.
You told me you are godfather of 3 children in here.
3 children in this community, yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to find Isaac.
So there is more cassava production going on all around this village, everywhere.
Yeah, it's just ready for roasting, yeah? This has been sieved through already. That's just waiting. I think tomorrow is the day that they're going to be doing the roasting.
They will be roasting.
Most of the people, even there across the river, even there they're going to be roasting.
They will be roasting in this pan, yeah, this giant pan in here.
Quando que vai torrar?
Amanhã.
Amanhã?
Amanhã.
Vamos,
Eu vou trazer um ajudante aí.
Vou trazer.
Trazer?
O novo trabalhador.
Alegria?
Com prazer, senhor.
Trazer.
Bom dia, bom dia.
Bom dia, senhora.
Bom dia.
Como que tá, comadre?
Tô bem, graças a Deus.
Só alegria?
Só alegria.
Tristeza no momento.
Não.
Tristeza?
No momento.
Olha o Cleuson.
É um tal de Daniel.
Isso aqui já sabe fazer, tá? Se quer ajudar, ele cobra aí, não sei quanto quer por hora.
Não, esse gringo sai pro grátis, não.
Você cobra.
Eu quero encontrar cobra, eu quero encontrar onça. Narcotraficante, melhor não.
Vai encontrar.
Não, ainda não encontrei nada.
Se você quiser que tu veja ela, que eu vou ser
Agora eu vou procurar esse lado daqui.
Esse daqui tá, quer comer o macaco da senhora.
Nossa, quem que vai matar? O Antônio ia matar um macaco que eu quiser lá em casa, esse macaco.
Quando? Sua vizinha. Poxa.
Agora,
I fell in love with eating monkey from her recipe. Oh, just unreal. It was so good. I started eating monkey because of her.
What kind of monkey?
Mas a sua vizinha lá, querida.
Spider monkey, capuchin? Squirrel?
It was there was one. It was what they call ties, the spider monkey. It was a big one, big fucker, like this size. Yeah, they cut it in 4, like 4 families. Each got a quarter. And the other time it was just one of these little vervet monkeys, little grey ones.
Somehow all the time when I see some footage of people eating monkeys in South America, it's spider monkey. I think it's the most delicious, I guess. for some particular reason. I don't know. Never howler monkey, never capuchin.
Oh, howler monkey. Aqui vocês comem a guariba, né?
É.
Guariba também é bom.
Tem o guariba, tem o cotá, tem o macaco prego.
Todas, né?
É, tudo é bom.
E é gostoso?
É.
Top.
Jacaré.
Não, jacaré, todo mundo come jacaré, mas nós ser macaco é diferente porque é muito parecido ao ser humano, não? Um pouquinho. Um pouquinho. Oh, não.
É, não é.
Eu ainda não comi macaco, não
Mas
conheço.
é
Não comi. Eu quero tentar, não como é? It's similar to what? Like monkey meat?
Lamb.
Lamb? White meat?
Yeah, like tender, sweetish. Yeah, very good. Não tem um raspadão?
Oh, obrigado. Ah, sim, bom. Que já gringo sabe tudo.
Olha aí, ele não sabe, esse gringo não sabe. Tá vendo? Olha o agriculante aí.
O senhor sabe também, não sabe?
Não sei nada.
Senhor é o supervisor.
Aí eu vou falar a mesma coisa que eu falei lá no outro lado, quando falaram que eu não estava fazendo nada. Ó, cada empresa que eu vou, sempre tem um supervisor, tem um gerente, né? Sempre de olho nos outros. Então, alguém precisa fazer isso. Ó, nenhum de vocês está fazendo e eu preciso fazer. Eu acho que não é trabalho, é?
É, trabalho.
So, what happened exactly? Lightning hit the...
Oh yes, there was a thunderstorm. A family was busy having lunch inside. They were actually inside and the window was open and lightning struck this post and the lightning bolt got split up into different arms, different arms, and one arm went through the window and hit the girl on the head and killed her.
Okay. So people getting killed by lightning around these areas is not such a rare thing. It happens.
It happens, it happens.
Occasionally, yeah?
Across the river there were 2 lightning strikes recently and this one was last year.
Wow. Well, when storms do happen in the Amazon, they're crazy.
Brazil is world record for lightning strikes.
Yeah. And now we're heading to school, aren't we?
Yes, we're heading to the school whose roof was blown off during a storm. During this period, all the children have been able to continue their schooling by going to other schools in the area. Boats, like equivalent to a school bus, come and pick them up in the morning and take them to the different villages to continue their studies. This school should be operating by April, which is when their school year starts again.
So these days, entire community is trying to rebuild it, yeah?
Yes, and you'll see a lot of people from the community all working together. They've a group of men from the community have gone to the port to load the bricks that is being used for the construction. You'll see some members inside busy working. There's a project that has to be done.
Wow, but it looks completely destroyed.
Yeah. Now they're just rebuilding completely.
But like trees were falling on top of it or on the roof? No? Just wind?
Just wind.
Just wind. Crazy.
Nada.
Tá bom. So, what is this fruit and why we are after this fruit?
Very very sweet.
What
Called
is
the biriba.
Biriba?
Biriba, family of the graviola and the fruta do conde.
Fruta do Congo.
Não, Congo não, fruta do conde.
He wants to get the bigger one?
There's one, no, that's green. You have to get the yellow one.
Ah, up there. So this is something I've never tried before. These are the fruits of biriba. And looks like that. There are seeds in there. And the surrounding flesh is really juicy and extremely sweet. It's really delicious, so delicious. And those are the seeds. that are not edible. É o cavalo? And these are the fruits of Inga. Well, that's the Brazilian Portuguese name for it. I know that in English language they call it ice cream bean because it's like a long bean and tastes somewhat resembles ice cream. Mr. Albert disagrees with me.
Lie!
Dirty lie, but that's what I read on Wikipedia. And Wikipedia never lies. And seeds you don't eat. I actually read that they're somewhat toxic, somewhat poisonous. But this stuff, the white stuff, that's the good shit. And it's delicious. It's sweet. How would you describe the taste?
Not ice cream, but sweet.
Sweet, yeah. É gostoso, não?
Maybe like a bland kiwi fruit, or bland, I don't know, like a kiwi, like a bland rambutan, maybe.
Yeah, that's how average European thinks of the fruits. Bland rambutan, as if they sell rambutans on every corner, you know, like. Isso é porquinho de você?
É,
Sim?
da minha irmã.
Sim? Ah, da tua irmã? Não?
É grandona já.
É grandona já? Então,
Vai, onde que vai?
muita carne depois, não?
Como chama isso aqui?
É lindinha.
Lindinha.
Já almoçaram?
Não.
Quer almoçar?
Bom dia, senhora.
Bom dia.
O gringo voltou.
Esse peixe dá. Mas o meu tá bem, tá bem.
Como se chama esse peixinho que eu vou comer?
Cunaré.
Tucunaré. Tucunaré. É gostoso?
É.
É bem gostoso.
Sim.
Não é o lito tucunaré?
Não é de amarelo?
Tinha um lago lá que tava aquele
So, right?
tamanhozinho. Teve um corno que foi lá, só sossegou depois que acabou.
Que tipo de peixe é?
É tucunaré.
Tucunaré?
Isso.
Tucunaré? É. Esse é grande ou pode ser mais grande?
Esse aqui que é grande, ele ainda cresce mais.
Frito, guisado. Vai comer ele como? Frito?
Frito? Ah, okay. E vai fritar assim no fogo, não?
Dá pra comer com feijão.
Lift him. Anderson. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that helps them with development, they grow faster.
They'll thank me one day when they get angry.
Yeah.
They'll thank me.
Yeah? Yeah, this is future Charles Oliveira or Alex Pereira in here practicing already,
There we go.
Future UFC champions, This one will be lightweight, that one will be middleweight, light heavyweight,
You speak English. You speak English.
Speak English? You speak English? Yeah, you speak English. Fala, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aí, ó. Lembrou. Thank you.
So it's afternoon already and sun is slowly going down, and Mr. Albert, he jumped into his boat and he went back to his house, but I decided to stay on this side of the river for a while because I was told that a little bit outside of that community, roughly 2 kilometers further down this road, on my right, there is some sort of a path or a trail which used to be used by loggers because there was a lot of logging going on in these areas. But these days that path is completely abandoned, and they say that it's arguably the best option for me to enter deeper into the rainforest. So I took all the most necessary gear. I think this won't be a very long hike. I'm going pretty light this time. And yeah, one more time I will be looking for wildlife. And so far all I see are just these big cassava plantations. but somewhere further down the road, rainforest should start. And all people of the community told me that I'm completely out of my mind, because jaguars are easily to be seen around these areas, and they're constantly killing dogs around all communities around. And yeah, most of people told me that this is one bad idea, but you know, people say many things. Frankly, I want to see a jaguar. I would like to take a picture of a jaguar. I like to make a video of jaguars. So you know, I think it's just we have different perspectives on this subject, on this topic, you know. Well, I'm not gonna lie, for some time I was even wondering whether I'm on the right path, because the right path is supposed to be really long, at least 20 kilometers long. But now I'm roughly 4 or 5 kilometers into the jungle, so I guess I'm on the right path. I also failed to catch one real interesting snake that I've never seen before, and that's a big drag. And I found this giant toad. I mean, this is a common animal, but still, this is a giant toad. This one looks like a balloon. And these are the poison glands. And that's why nobody wants to touch this creature, unless you know how to deal with it. Come on. Good evening. So very unfortunately, but I had to come back from my hike very early. You see, I was planning to stay in the rainforest for about 3 or 4 days, but I came back yesterday. And not because I wanted, but because my camera just gave up on working. I mean, it was acting kind of funny, kind of weird for last 2 or 3 weeks. But last morning I just couldn't switch it on no more. And to be honest with you, that freaked me out quite a bit. So what I did, I just hiked back to the community, and then I found one person who brought me back to this shore of the river. And as I expected, the issue was humidity. Because you see, these days not just my camera but all of my gear is exposed to really wet conditions. So what I did, I just kept my camera in dry place for about 12 or 15 hours, and now it's working again. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm really paranoid about this whole situation, you know. And I guess now eventually the time has come for me to make my first questions and answers video, because some of you dropped some really interesting questions in the comment section. So I'm about to answer all of those, but first I need to walk back into the house. Yeah, and find my laptop. And by the way, have you noticed that I'm walking through the field all this time? There's some really interesting field in here, right in the middle of the jungle. And I was told that there was some cattle farming, some small-scale cattle farming going on in here, like some years ago, right here, yeah, in the middle of the Amazon. But not anymore. However, for some reason, rainforest is not taking over this field. It just stays like that, which I find really odd. I really wanted to record this video somewhere in the jungle, you know, in some really cool tropical rainforest environments, but Yeah, all day it was just raining, and then it got windy, and then all kinds of natural shenanigans were happening all throughout the day. And now it's late and dark already, and I guess it is what it is. I much rather record this under the roof. And I have absolutely no internet connection here. I saved up all these questions when I was back in the community, and I have them in my laptop. So Guevara 1015 wrote me, "Epic journey, mate, looking forward to the video you mentioned. Question for that video. How often cars and trucks passing you on the road? Does it feel like you're very alone out there, or there are many vehicles that you could ask for help if you need it? Thanks." So, Mr. or perhaps Mrs. Guevara, I guess I could give the same answer for both Trans-Amazonian Highway and Highway 319, which led me to Manaus. There are some vehicles passing by every once in a while, but it's not like a regular thing, you know. Sometimes I'm just cycling down the road and there isn't a single car or truck for a few hours. And then out of the blue, you know, there are cars and trucks just passing by. But in general, I really don't feel alone, and I think in last case scenario I could easily find some people who could help me out, really. As for Trans-Amazonian Highway, well, I guess I should add that this road starts in the state of Paraíba, which is on the Atlantic coast. So Amazon rainforest is far away. So for first 2000 kilometers or so, I was cycling pretty much on regular paved road, you know, with bunch of cars and trucks passing by. And then once I entered the state of Pará, you know, the Amazonian region, it gradually morphed into this dirt road with less and less traffic. And I guess what also should be said is that throughout Amazonian region, throughout all Amazon rainforest, you know, all of these countries, not just Brazil, roads are of somewhat secondary importance. Because this part of the world holds biggest freshwater reserves on the planet. I mean, there are so many giant rivers out there. So most of the movement happens through water highways, you know, by boats and even small ships and ferries, you know. People move on the water and all the logistics happen by water. And frankly, I decided to cycle across Amazon just because I started bikepacking, but it would make so much more sense just to get myself a canoe or a little boat so I could get deep into the inner Amazon. And perhaps I will do this in the future, perhaps even in the near future, but all depends on money, which usually I don't have. Somebody named Funky Forest Games, that's a cool nickname. Funky Forest Games is asking me in Lithuanian. 4 questions. Okay, so I'll try to answer them one by one, and I'll do it in my native language, since person is asking me in Lithuanian. Sveikas, keli klausimai. Kiek dar laiko malsysi po Brazilijos džiunglės? Ar yra kažkoks planas po to, ar tiesiog kažkiek laiko reikės grįžti į civilizaciją, galbūt užsidirbti kitoms kelionėms? Gerai. Tai šios kelionės tikslas buvo ir vis dar yra perminti visą Pietų Amerikos žemyną, visą Pietų Amerikos kontinentą, nuo Atlanto pakrantės iki Ramiojo vandenyno pakrantės. Ir kelionė prasidėjo Paraibos valstijoje, João Pessoa mieste, kur ir prasideda Trans-Amazonės greitkelis. Ir aš jau visą šitą greitkelį kaip ir įveikiu. Ir manau, kad ši kelionė baigsis Peru sostinėje Limoje. Ir manau, kad pasiekęs Ramiojo vandenyno pakrantę, aš susikrausiu visą mantą ir praskrisiu atgal į Europą. Kada tai nutiks, nežinau. Labai sunku nuspėti ir aš labai nemėgstu taip toliau planuoti į ateitį. Bet žinau vieną, kad tikrai norėčiau praleisti vasarą Europoje. Ir mano galva, Lietuva yra pati puikiausia vieta visoje planetoje kokius 3-4 mėnesius per metus. Kažkur nuo gegužės iki rugpjūčio. Deja, vėliau reikalai visada labai smarkiai pakrypsta į blogąją pusę, bet kol kas tikrai nežinau, kol kas tiesiog keliauju, o grįžęs į Europą žiūrėsiu, matysiu, koks bus mano sekantis žingsnis. Kitas klausimas. Būtų įdomu šiek tiek išgirsti apie keliones iki YouTube. Minėjai, jog tranzavai po Europą. Kas dar įdomesnio? Na, ko gero galėčiau pasakyti, jog gyvenu kelyje, ar bent judu iš vienos vietos į kitą, ieškodamas kur čia užsidirbti, kad galėčiau toliau keliauti jau daugiau nei 8 metai. Tad YouTube aš dar esu gana žalias, o keliauju jau seniai. O, tų kelionių, jų buvo labai daug. Sakykime, esu išmaišęs visą Pietų Meksiką, visas Centrinės Amerikos valstybės, esu pertranzavęs Patagoniją, o po Europą autostopu esu keliavęs tiek daug, kad nežinau, kaip čia geriau ir paaiškinus. Na, sakykime, esu suskaičiavęs, kad Lenkiją pertranzavau 23 kartus. Ir tai, ko gero, gerai atsako į šitą klausimą. Top 3 nuotykiai kelionėse, kuriuos visada prisiminsi, kurie nėra nufilmuoti ir įkelti YouTube'on. Geras klausimas. Iš tikrųjų, labai daug visko nutiko ir dabar, kai pagalvoju, tai daugybė visokiausių atsiminimų ir sunku kažką iš tikrųjų taip išskirti. O jeigu pradėčiau, tai turbūt labai smarkiai išsiplėšiu ir šitas video būtų begalinis, tad galbūt paliksiu tolimesnėms video. Vienu galiu pasidalinti, vienas, kuris dabar tikrai ateina į galvą. Tai aš turėjau tokią didelę laimę praleisti COVID pandemiją visą karantino laikotarpį Argentinoje. Jei tiksliau, tai Saltos provincijoje, šiaurės vakarų Argentinoje, tokioje folkloriniai Argentinos gaučių žemėje, galima taip pavadinti. Tokia tikrai nuostabioji magiškoje vietoje. Ir aš ten atsidūriau, nes tiesiog atvykau pas draugą į svečius, pas savo gerą bičiulį Augustiną. Bet man ten viešint nutiko taip, kad užsidarė visi oro uostai, užsidarė visos sienos ir likau ten izoliuotas Saltos provincijoje. Bet aplinkybės buvo fantastiškos, nes turėjau laisvų išėjimą į kalnus aplinkui, taip kad per tuos 8 mėnesius, kuriuos praleidau Saltoje, tai nuolat leisdavausi tokius ilgus žygius. Kartais tik keliom dienoms, o kartais savaitę ir net 2. Ir man ten tose kalnuose labai daug visko nutiko. Sakykime, esu matęs pumą einančią pro šalį maždaug kažkur 3 metrai nuo manęs. Ar nežinau, daugybė visokiausių nutikimų. Bet vienas ypač įsirėžė man kažkaip į atmintį. Nes vienas iš įdomesnių dalykų, kuriuos tose kalnuose galima išvysti, tai yra Andų kondorai. Nežinantiems pasakysiu, kad Andų kondoras yra vienas didžiausių skraidančių paukščių žemėje. Ir kokio dydžio jis yra, tai tarpas tarp išskleistų sparnų gali siekti 3 ar net 3,5 metro. Tai būtų pats didžiausias plėšrusis paukštis pasaulyje. Nors jis minta dvėselina, tai yra maitėda. Techniškai tai yra didelis grifas. Tai aš vis leisdavausi į kalnus ir vis ieškodavau visokiausių būdų, kaip čia prie tų kondorių priartėti, kaip čia prisiartinti ir kaip kokį geresnį kadrą nutraukti. Ir vieną iš tokių žygių metu, atsimenu, palikau visą savo mantą tokiai stovyklavietėj, tokiam slėnyje. Ir nusprendžiau kopti į tokią vieną kalvą, kur vis matydavau, kad tie kondorai skraido aplinkui. Tai atsimenu, palikau viską, pasiėmiau tik tai mažą tokią kuprinėlę, įsimečiau porą obuolių, 2 litrų butelį su vandeniu ir pasiėmiau žiebtuvėlį dėl viso pikto ir iškeliavau ir pradėjau kopti į tą kalvą. Ir tas kopimas į kalvą tai buvo kaip iš kokio filmo, nes lipau galiausiai 4 ir pasiekiau pačią viršūnę, ten pučia vėjai ir aš įsikabinęs rankomis į tą patį viršų į akmenis ir dairausi, kur galėtų būti tie kondorai. Ir staiga visai netikėtai praskrenda virš manęs toks didžiulis šešėlis. Toks didelis, kad net kurį laiką užtemdė visą saulę. Aš nejuokauju ir neperdedu. Ir praskrido kondoras, bet praskrido taip arti. Geriausiu atveju kokie 3 metrai virš manęs, gal net 2 metrai, kad aš net galėjau jį užuosti, tokį stiprų, tokį dvėseranos tvaiką. O tada praskrido dar vienas, o tada dar 2. Ir taip išeina, kad man virš galvos ratus suko 4 kondorai, patinas, patelė ir 2 tokie gerai ūgtelėję jaunikliai. Ir nežinau, aš kurį laiką buvau toks apimtas visiškai tokios kalnų ekstazės, negalėjau patikėti, kas čia darosi, nes kai tokio dydžio paukščiai suka ratus aplink tave, tai atrodo, kad čia ne paukščiai, atrodo, kad čia kažkokie priešistoriniai pterozaurai. Ir vis bandžiau nutraukti kažkokį geresnį kadrą, bet taip viena ranka buvau įsikabinęs į akmenis, į uolas, kai ten nuviršiu, nukryščiau į bedugnę, o kita ranka su dideliu fotoaparatu, su tuo ilgu objektyvu bandžiau nutraukti kokį kadrą. O jie vis suko ir suko iš lėto ratus aplinkui. Na tai buvo kažkas tokio magiško, neįtikėtina. Ir galiausiai, kai jie nuskrido, pradėjau leisti žemyn tą kalvą, bet netikėtai pradėjo kilti rūkas ir visos tos viršukalnės jas paskendo debesyse. Ir kai nusileidau nuo kalvos, supratau, kad esu visiškai pasiklydęs, nes niekaip nesugebėjau rasti tako, kaip grįžti į tą slėnį, kur palikau savo visą mantą ir kur stovyklavau praeitą naktį. Tai taip išėjo, kad visiškai pasiklydau ir galiausiai tiesiog supratau, kad aš į savo stovyklavietę šiandien nebegrįšiu. Tad tiesiog pradėjau ieškoti kažkokio slėnio galbūt, kur čia nusileisti, kad nebūtų taip šalta, kur arčiau ieškoti kokio šaltinio ar tai kokio upeliukščio, kur galėčiau praleisti naktį. Ir taip naktį ir praleidau, atsimenu. Pavyko susikurti tokį lauželį prie tokio šaltinėlio ir aš ten susisukęs taip, kaip koks šuniukas, kaip koks gyvūnas, pratraukiau tą naktį ir tai atsikėliau. Ten jau buvo, ruduo. Tai kalnuose, ten šiaurės vakarų Argentinai, ten pakankamai didelis aukštis virš jūros lygio, jau darėsi šaltoka. Minuso nebuvo, bet gal kokie geriausiai atveju +5 iš ryto buvo, atsimenu, atsikėliau, buvo tikrai šalta, bet mano laimė visas rūkas jau buvo išsisklaidęs ir radau kelią atgal, taką atgal į savo stovyklavietę ir kitą dieną radau visą savo mantą ir paržygiavau atgal į kaimą. Tai jo, čia turbūt vienas iš tų tokių stipresnių atsiminimų, kurio tikrai niekad nepamiršiu. Another fellow Lithuanian, Mykolas Podolskis 4319, is asking me, what day through a week is your favorite and why? What's a good question? I think I don't have a favorite day of the week. I think that every day is a blessing. I mean, when you got that lust for your life, when you feel that fire under your balls, every day is a blessing and every day is a great day. So yeah, I don't have my favorite day of the week. I don't. Rizardo Chucky 9975. I really don't know how to pronounce this, I'm really sorry. Wrote me, great stuff as usual, my respect. Thank you very much. Would it be possible to travel around South America knowing only English? Of course it would be possible, but it would be so uncomfortable and so much less interesting. Because throughout Spanish-speaking Latin American countries and throughout Brazil, Portuguese-speaking Latin America, there are so few people who can speak in English. It's usually just around touristic areas, so as long as you stick to those places, yeah, you will always find some people that you can communicate in English with. But other than that, if you want to dive deeper into the countryside or off the touristic path, then yeah, it might get tricky. And also, it will be so much less interesting because it's really difficult to understand culture and dive deep in it without being able to have a conversation, So I would really recommend you, if you want to travel around South America, just pick up at least some basic Spanish or some basic Portuguese if you're going to Brazil. That will help you a lot. Just being able to have some little conversation will improve your overall experience of this journey so much. So really, I think that would be my answer. Town Tracer, I really don't know how to pronounce this. Sorry again. One of your best. Loved all the animals on this one. I'd love to if you did a compilation video or a ranking of your top 10 animal sightings in the Amazon or something like that. Perhaps in the future, who knows. Hope the last stretch to Manaus went well. My questions for Q&A is, what mammals have you most commonly seen in the Amazon? What mammals have they most commonly seen in the Amazon? Okay, if we're talking about like larger mammals that are active in daytime, then most likely those would be the primates, those would be the monkeys. especially squirrel monkeys and capuchin monkeys. I mean, there are very many different species of capuchin monkeys and there are different species of squirrel monkeys, but those types of monkeys I see for most of the time. They are very easily to be seen even when you're bikepacking. Sometimes you just hear some noise in the trees and then you have a good look and you just see them, jumping all around the branches. Then for most of the time, in most places in Brazil and Amazon, you can hear howler monkeys. You don't see them, but you can definitely hear them out there in the distance, which is absolutely fascinating. Even now, after all this time in Latin America, it's completely fascinating to me how such animal can generate such a noise. Now, for most commonly seen mammals in general, I think those would be the bats. Really, there are so many bats in the nocturnal sky in the Amazon. It's unbelievable sometimes, really. Sometimes when you're out there in the Amazon walking around at night, it feels as if there are more bats in the sky during the nighttime than there are birds during daytime. Really, there are that many bats around. So yeah, I think that would be my answer. Pi Tarnham or Pia Tarnham, I really don't know how to pronounce this, I'm sorry, wrote me. Enjoyed again few of your videos, very cool to find the boa constrictors. Yeah, it's always cool to find boa constrictors, but I still haven't found a big one. As you invite us to ask questions, well, the thing I'm wondering about the most watching all of your videos is how to deal with possible threats of robbery, bad people on your way. Aren't you scared sometimes being such an easy target? Do you have some kind of a plan if something bad happens? Both me and my girlfriend have been in Latin America sometime, Peru and Ecuador, and we were both being robbed, especially my girlfriend in a brutal way. Wow. Well, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear about what happened to you. I mean, yeah, it's just the way it is. Yeah, Latin America is definitely not the safest place on earth. And unfortunately, I hear about these types of accidents every once in a while. But let me put it this way. I mean, yeah, it is dangerous, but I still tend to believe that these dangers are severely exaggerated in media, Let me put it this way. I do believe that dangerous parts all throughout Latin America are mainly large urban areas, big cities. And every time when I'm entering some big city or bigger town, let's say more than 300,000 inhabitants, more than 500,000-ish, I always place myself in this different state of mind, that, there's certain things I shouldn't do and probably there's certain areas that I shouldn't go. And that's just the way it is, And I love this part of the world with all my heart and soul, really. I'm deeply in love with Latin America, but yeah, it's just brutal reality. And yeah, me myself actually had armed robbery once in Uruguay, and I was really badly robbed in Costa Rica, and I also had my wallet stolen in Buenos Aires. I mean, yeah, these things just happen, and over the years I got smarter and I got my street smarts, I guess. So now, yeah, lately I had no accidents whatsoever. Regarding my cycling journeys, well, you see, bikepackers, we're a different breed of people, I guess, we generally stay away from big cities. And really, rural areas all throughout Latin America, small towns, usually they're safe as milk, really, and nothing really happens, out here in the Amazon, in the countryside. I feel pretty much as safe as in Europe, unless you're entering some, drug trafficking roads or such really messed up areas. So yeah, and obviously when you're backpacking out there alone, you're an easy target, but as long as you're staying away from big urban areas, your chances of getting robbed are like slim to none, really, really. Yeah, that would be the short answer, but I think that this is one really wide subject, and I think I'll make one long video or even entire series of videos covering this subject in some distant future, giving some tips and advices, because I do believe I have a fair share of experience myself. But for now, that's that, and this will be my answer. And once again, I'm really sorry to hear about what happened to you, and I really hope that these horrible experiences that you had will not stop you from traveling, These things just happen sometimes, and yeah, we just need to keep on pushing forward, Okay, listen, I think it's getting pretty late and I still got some questions on the list, but I think I'll continue tomorrow early in the morning because I really would like to take some good rest. And I'm talking into camera for a while now, and I have this feeling that I'm just starting to rant, and yeah, I would like to stay as coherent as I can, And it's really difficult to maintain proper focus when you're talking into camera, really. I'm still trying to get used to this. So yeah, I'll continue in the morning, but for now, good night. So yet another night, and here I'm sitting again in the same place, with the same outfit, answering your questions. And I was really thinking to carry out this operation in the early morning hours. But I woke up and birds were singing, and then neighbors of Mr. Albert, they have some kids, and kids were shouting, and there were way too many distractions, And I'm making these videos without any script, so yeah, sometimes it's just difficult to maintain the focus and remain coherent. And even now I can hear some noise from the other shore of the river, because apparently this community, they're having some sort of a party, and there is real loud music out there, even though it's Wednesday. But anyway, enough of long introductions, let's get down to business. So, Best Steven wrote me, I have few questions for your upcoming Q&A video. And there are 5 questions, so I'll answer them one by one. So first question, what motivated you to take on this journey? And is it your first, or have you traveled like this elsewhere? Well, this is absolutely not my first long journey, and to be frank, I really don't need no specific motivation for doing these long trips. It just feels like a completely natural thing for me to do. I mean, let me rant a little bit, okay? I spent my childhood in the 90s and early 2000s in deep countryside in Lithuania. And ever since I was a small boy, I really loved exploring nature and outdoors. And I was reading a lot, all kinds of books about faraway places, and I was dreaming that one day I will be visiting those places. And then, as the years went by, I became a teenager, and I started traveling a little bit on my own. I started hitchhiking, in the beginning just within the limits of my home country, and later elsewhere to the other countries of Europe. And then I reached my early 20s, and I really did try to get this regular life. I remember myself living in Vilnius, capital of Lithuania, with my then girlfriend, and yeah, trying to have some regular job and to pursue some sort of a career. I was really thinking to perhaps get myself a PhD in natural sciences or something like that. But in the end, everything just seemed to be so dull, so grim. And deep down in my bones, I always felt that, to me, traveling is the right thing to do, So at one point I just snapped, and I just started backpacking full time, doing whatever it takes, but just moving from one place to another. And I'm pretty much on the road for the last 8 years or so. So yeah, I really don't need any specific motivation for traveling. To me it feels like a completely natural thing to do. And I can't help it, really, I just can't. And whether this one is my first long journey, absolutely not. I've been on the road for a long time, and I did many long journeys, both hitchhiking, bikepacking, or just hiking, or just walking, really, so many of them. So this is yet another journey, just perhaps this one is a little bit special because I'm crossing entire continents on bicycle, and also I'm crossing entire Amazon rainforest, which is sort of special to me. How are you able to afford this trip? I know your in-country costs are low, but flying is expensive and you have to buy parts, gears, clothing, etc. Well, my friend, as I told you, I'm pretty much on the road or just moving from one place to another for about 8 years or so already. And for about half of that time, I was just working all kinds of odd jobs, doing whatever it takes to make some money and just to keep on moving. I mean, listen, I was working with a bush cutter in Netherlands, driving all around the country and cutting bushes and grass. I was also working in warehouses in Netherlands too. Then I was a housekeeper and dishwasher in some faraway hotel in Iceland. Then I was picking grapes in some vineyards in France. And I was also that guy that sometimes you can see in some parts of Europe, busking with a guitar on a street corner. I mean, and I did so many more things. And frankly, to make some bucks for this particular journey, I was working as a logger in Finland. Yeah, way up in the north, in Lapland, for some months. And then I went back to the Netherlands, where I was working in some giant printing house, printing postcards and doing very long night shifts. And I made enough of money to fund this trip thus far. However, I'm also slowly running out of money as well, which is pretty much normal thing to me. And throughout all of these years of traveling, I just learned how to do it in really cheap fashion without wasting much money. First of all, I'm a man of very few needs, you know. I'm used to live with very little, and I think that I will keep on living with very little till the rest of my days, you know. I mean, at some point I would like to find some sort of a home base for myself, you know, to build some little empire for myself, where I could always come back. I mean, by saying empire, it could be just some little house, just like this one, somewhere in the middle of the jungle. That would be enough, more than enough. But I really don't need much. And while traveling, I really learned how to do this in a really cheap fashion without wasting much money. I mean, I did a lot of volunteering. I was very active on Workaway, for example. I used couch surfing, and throughout all these years of traveling, I've actually gathered a lot of contacts with all kinds of people all around the world. My friends, buddies, or just people that I know, and that helps a lot. I'm also doing a lot of camping all over the place, so yeah, that also helps because it's for free. And you know, now when I think of it, I think that I could really elaborate on this subject quite a lot. I mean, on traveling without spending much money, because I have gathered quite a lot of knowledge, so perhaps I will make just one entire long video about it in the future, you know. So, but for now, that's my answer. Did you know Portuguese before you arrived in Brazil? Well, as I said already, I spoke very little Portuguese before I arrived to Brazil. But I speak decent Spanish, and Spanish and Portuguese, those are two very closely related languages. I am also a great lover of Brazilian music, especially 70s MPB, you know, like Tim Maia, Caetano Veloso, Milton Nascimento, Gilberto Gil, and so on. I love music of these artists dearly, and always wanted to understand what they're singing about. So I guess I was kind of able to understand Portuguese way before I started this journey, but there's a big difference between understanding what people are talking about and actually trying to speak in that language, you know? And even now, after all these months of traveling, every time I try to speak Portuguese, it always comes off as portunhol. This is how people in Latin America call this mixture between Spanish and Portuguese. So I'm definitely not speaking good Portuguese yet. However, I'm still planning to perfect it in the future, because I don't know, I have a feeling I will come back to Brazil one day. And also, I just love learning new languages. I think it has some sort of a refreshing, rejuvenating impact on me, you know. I think it's just a wonderful thing to do. Because all of my experience with the jungle is from movies and television, your videos have caused me to realize that TV shows were exaggerating a great deal. Still, aside from malaria, there is also Chagas disease and various fascinatingly freaky parasites in South America. And I see you walking barefoot often. So are such hazards generally avoided with simple good sense, or? I mean, I tend to agree with you. Yeah, I believe that all kinds of TV shows, or actually some other travel bloggers, they try to exaggerate all kinds of dangers of tropical areas quite a bit, including parasites and all kinds of diseases. I mean, don't get me wrong, danger is still out there. You know, throughout my journeys I had dengue twice, I had salmonella, I had some really hardcore diarrheas at least thrice. I mean, to the point where I actually had to take some antibiotics to deal with it. And on this journey I also had scabies, which was horrible. It was disgusting and just horrible. But I managed to beat it. Yeah, I mean, these things, they just happen from time to time, and yeah, there is always danger out there, all kinds of parasites and such like. But, I mean, you just need to use your common sense, and it's not everywhere, you know. It's not like you can get malaria all throughout the Amazon basin. I mean, there are some places throughout Amazon rainforest where you're more likely to get malaria. Just like there are certain places throughout Latin America, throughout American tropics and subtropics in general, where you could get, let's say, I don't know, dengue or chikungunya or Chagas disease, you know. And I think when you're traveling through those places, you should do a little bit of research and take all of those things into consideration, you know. And frankly, I do a little bit of homework before I'm going somewhere. But then again, if you have a bad luck, you have a bad luck, and that's that. I mean, I'm really not trying to throw myself into some sort of a danger intentionally, and I do take some basic safety precautions. I mean, I'm using mosquito spray, let's say, when I'm in like heavily mosquito infested areas, and I really watch where I step, where I'm walking barefoot, you know. And there is one thing walking barefoot in daytime, and one other thing walking barefoot in the nighttime, when most of those potentially dangerous creatures such as scorpions or spiders, especially wandering spiders out here in Brazil, or snakes, are active, you know. But then again, you know, I'm always looking for those creatures, so I guess in my case it just doesn't make any sense. And this is one really wide subject, and perhaps, I guess, one day I could just make a separate long video about this subject in the future. But for now, this will be my answer, okay? What is your background? Curious to hear whatever you choose to let us know. Well, I already spoke about myself quite a bit, so I guess you already could get a bit of a picture. I really don't like to talk about myself that much. I always considered myself as this low-profile guy, and I started making these videos because a bunch of people, some friends of mine and some other people I met down the road told me that perhaps I could do this. And now I'm kind of sort of slowly falling in love with all of this. I really love talking about things I love and explaining things to people, although I must admit that sometimes being a content creator sometimes feels some sort of a form of exhibitionism, you know. You're exposing your personal life to some other people to see, and I know that a bunch of people really enjoy it, but me myself, I really try to maintain focus on surroundings, you know, when I'm traveling, whether it's nature or people, you know. So what else could be said about me? Well, I already said a lot, you know. I was born and raised in Lithuania, in northeastern part of the country, in the district of Anykščiai, which in my opinion, very objectively talking, is one of the most beautiful places on the planet. I'm a son of a cattle farmer. I grew up in a deep countryside. I have a degree in biology. I have a lifelong interest in all things nature, especially reptiles. I am also quite of a history and anthropology geek, I guess. And I'm also very interested in music. And in all honesty, if not for all of these journeys, probably I would be making YouTube videos about music. And now Agora Camino wrote me. I wonder who could be this person. Wow, 2,000 subscribers. Congrats. Thank you very much. This really means a lot to me. I see you were blessed by the jaguar. Tremendous. I have a question. Do you sleep carrying your machete with you, just in case? If jaguar comes to poke you in the middle of the night, you know. Okay, so let's get things straight. If compared with some other big cats, let's say with lions or tigers, jaguars in general, they don't attack people, really. So if you're out there in the rainforest, your chances of getting attacked by a jaguar are like slim to none. That being said, occasionally, very rarely, such accidents do happen. I even have one scientific paper, one scientific article on jaguar attacks in South America, like 3 cases. So these things do happen, but they are extremely uncommon. So me myself, I'm really not scared about jaguars out there. I'm much more worried about certain human beings in big urban areas and throughout Latin America. Seriously. However, I really believe that if jaguar is trying to sneak upon you and if it wants to kill you, it will kill you. Unless you have a rifle or some sort of a gun. And me with machete or me without machete, I mean, I stand absolutely no chance against the jaguar. These big cats, they are so powerful, they're so strong that I guess if jaguar would try, it would kill him in a split second. It would kill me or any other person, unless you carry a rifle or a gun or something. And whether I'm sleeping with machete by my side, well, yeah, sometimes I do. But not because I'm scared of jaguars, but because I'm just a freaking lunatic, that's why. So those were my answers to your questions, or at least those questions that I saved in my laptop. I'm sorry if I was ranting quite a bit, but these answers were completely unscripted, completely improvised on the spot. You know, I'm into jazz and Grateful Dead and other types of improvised music, and sometimes when it flows, it flows. And sometimes it doesn't. And same goes with conversations like this conversation I'm having with all of you at this very moment. So sometimes my rants, they really do get out of hand, but yeah, I really hope I managed to deliver the message in one way or another. And there is another thing I should add, is that eventually my channel surpassed 2,000 subscribers. And I know that some could say that this is not much, but it really warms my heart that there are more than 2,000 of you out there following my adventures. So thank you so much. And I promise that I will try my best to deliver each and every time. And there is yet one more thing I should add, and I really hate these types of things, and I guess this is the first time when I'm saying it in one of my videos, but if you really, and I mean if you really like the stuff I'm making, please consider becoming a special member on my Patreon account. You will not only support some forever broke Northeastern European hobo traveling around, but you will also receive some additional footage, some rants, some additional snippets from my journeys, and further down the road, probably stories from my past, because I've been on the road for such a long time, and I have gathered so many crazy and wild stories, and I was really wondering what to do with this stuff. Whether I should publish it somewhere or just post it on YouTube, or and I guess first of all I will try it out on Patreon, and I will give it for you guys to test it out, whatever you think about it, and later we will see. But a lot of wild stuff happened to me, and I guess some of that stuff I really don't see posting it on YouTube, because it involves some illegal activities, some really nitty-gritty dark stories. Not everything is roses on the road, you know, and I was involved in a lot of crazy shit over the years. And then, if you simply want to support me, then you can always buy me a coffee. And you can find both links to my Patreon platform and my Buy Me a Coffee platform in the description of this channel. And one more time, thank you so much for watching me, for supporting me. This means a world to me. Because I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning when I started the YouTube thing, it seemed to be hopeless, really. I'm just posting and nobody's watching, and it's just me talking to myself into camera, it seems. And now eventually it seems like things are slowly taking off, and I'm really happy about it. So thank you one more time. So it's a beautiful night, full moon, and I'm going for a swim. because there's nothing like swimming in the river at night. And for once it's not cloudy, and that big old moon is shining bright like a spoon. So I really hope that you enjoyed this little video of mine, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, my friends.